I would be moderating and hosting this webinar for today. I take this opportunity to thank our chairmen, our senior management team, our dean, madam, and the faculty whose untiring efforts has made BCCM today a top management institute in Odisha, as well as East. Our panelists and guests would be happy to know that BCCM has been ranked among the best management colleges in Odisha in 2021. It was established in 2006 and it is run under the aegis of Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan, which is an institution of national eminence, and it was founded in 1938 in Mumbai, a philanthropic initiative to promote education, art, culture. And currently it has 119 centers with 367 institutions in India and abroad, and it offers courses on different disciplines, including arts, science, commerce, engineering, technology, as well as management. And in management, we have 15 management colleges across India, and BCCM is one of them. BCCM at Bhubaneswar, we offer 2 years full-time PGDM course, which is approved by AICTE and has specializations in marketing, HR, finance, and healthcare. Courses here are designed not only by academic experts, but we take inputs from leading industry people, which meets the contemporary needs of the business. BCCM's collaboration with different public and private sector industries, corporates, business houses, and various other entrepreneurial ventures expose students to a deeper understanding of working at various organizations. BCCM Bhubaneswar has a strong network of alumni who have been serving in senior positions in different industries. These alumni also come together and interact with students and share their perspectives about working in corporate. At BCCM, focus is given not just on academics, but also on overall development, continuous learning through classroom-based and hands-on experience. Students are regularly exposed to concepts of social responsibility, community development, and experiential learning. Students and faculty join and interact with distinguished personalities on different state-level platforms like Think Tank Odisha and seminar conducted by organizations like ISTD, NHRD, etc. So that's how BCCM has been progressing over the last few years. And now I'll come back to the topic. And recently, the government presented its union budget for 2022 in the parliament. And it has clearly, this budget has clearly indicated a lot of thrust areas, which includes infrastructure as one of them. And the current government's vision and aim is to become a $5 trillion economy by 2025. So what will be the impact of current budget on the economy, the industry, the different industries it's aiming thrust into, and also at personal level? To discuss this and more, today we have with us a panel of distinguished people with rich experience in field of academics as well as industry, who would be speaking on the topic and sharing their views. First of all, we have with us Shri Routray. Shri Routray is a practicing chartered accountant and managing partner at Routray and Company. He was also the chairman of Cuttack branch of Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. Mr. Routray has started his career from PwC, PricewaterhouseCoopers, that is. Thereafter, he worked in CRISIL, credit rating agency, and since last 10 years, he has been practicing in the field of indirect taxation. He's also a certified faculty of GST selected by Institute of Chartered Accountant of India, and is also a faculty at Xavier University, Bhubaneswar, and the ICSI for indirect taxation. He is acting as a coordinator and chief speaker in the initiative taken by Government of India and Central Excise Cuttack Division for sector-wise GST facilitation programs. Mr. Routray has appeared in various TV programs across several channels on GST and income tax as an expert panelist, and has also addressed many corporate forums on implementation and compliance under GST. He is a qualified chartered accountant, DISA, ICAI, company secretary, MBA, LLB, and MCOM. Welcome, sir. Next on the panel, we have Shri Dhananjay Bhatia. He is a certified financial planner a certified alternative investment manager, a certified NLP practitioner, and a mind trainer with a rich experience of over 12 plus years in financial market and learning and development vertical. He has conducted more than 950 plus sessions across 22 states in India on various topics related to financial markets, behavioral science, business growth strategy, design thinking, and inspirational talk. And he's one of the most sought after financial speakers in India. He regularly features in print and electronic media. He is also the founder for Smart Acumen Consulting, a business consulting and training consulting firm, and is also associated with leading financial institutions and academies like NSC Academy, the AAFM, and CIEL. As a resource person, and is also a visiting faculty at some of the leading universities and business schools like Shri University and Ravenshaw University, to name a few. He is a mentor to the leading incubation centers like KIT TBI, and is been sharing his inputs with entrepreneurs on design thinking and financial management. He has conducted several training sessions for several leading organizations and institutions like Wipro, TCS, Tata Group, CISF, BSNL, to name a few. Some of his signature sessions are Smart Money, E-Goal-Based Financial Planning, Business 10X with 10 Steps. He is a management graduate and has 5+ years of corporate experience heading a leading NBFC in Odisha. Welcome, sir.
Thank you so much, sir, for the warm introduction. There is some technical glitch at my end. I'm getting it resolved, so I will be just connecting in the next 5 minutes, sir.
Sure, no issues. You can go. And finally, today we have, apart from the industry experts, an academician, Dr. Alaka Panda. Dr. Alaka Panda, ma'am, is currently the HOD Department of Commerce at Biju Patnaik Degree College of Science and Education. She is having 11+ years of experience in teaching and has published over 11 papers and attended several international and national conferences. She has also attended several workshops, FDPs, and professional courses. Dr. Panda has completed her PhD in Commerce and his Master's in Finance, and also completed her MPhil degree. She is a member of several associations like the All India Commerce Association, All Odisha Commerce Association, to name a few. Welcome, ma'am. I think she will be joining in a little bit.
Thank you very much, sir.
Okay, so you have already joined. Welcome, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so now without taking any further time, I would like to call upon Dr. Routray, sir, to share his views on union budget and what he thinks, how it's going to impact the different levels at the national level, at the industry level, at the personal level. So over to you. You are muted, Satyananji. Please
Am I audible now?
Yeah, you're audible.
Thank you, sir, for such a warm welcome. Respected faculties of Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan. In fact, it's my privilege that I have been invited consecutively for the second year to give a speech on the budget. And also, I would like to thank the organizers to invite me. And maybe most of you may not be knowing that I have also taken some sessions as faculty member of Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan near about 4 to 5 years back. Anyway, so today we are going to discuss about budget, and the theme is an analysis of budget 22. I have prepared a small presentation. I think it is visible. Is it visible, the slide?
Yeah, it is visible. It's visible.
How much time I can take?
So it's approximately 12 minutes or so per speaker, because there would be 3 rounds, and then we will have question and answer sessions and an audience round. So if that suits you, fine.
Okay, I'll try to complete it within 12 minutes.
Okay, fine.
So
No issues. You can take a time. I mean, we would be more interested in that the topics are covered comprehensively and students gain a knowledge about this and take something away from this seminar.
okay, sir. Unlike physical seminar, this is going to be online seminar, digital seminar.
Yes.
So mostly we'll have very less interaction, but I would like to invite the students to have queries in the chat box, and if possible, if a pertinent doubts coming, they can interrupt me in between. And a valuable, most important one is, if my voice is not coming, immediately respond. Otherwise, I will be like running the show in a mute mode.
No, so for voice, I will obviously be reminding you if there is any problem at the technical end. But regarding the audience question, I would suggest the audience, if you have anything, any doubts or any queries during his presentation, please note it down and put it in the chat box and say that this is what I want to get it addressed from Satyanand Routray sir, right? Or this is what I want to get it clarified from other panelists, so that the flow is not disturbed, sir, and then we can take it up towards the end, all the questions and answers. Okay. Fine. You can go ahead, sir. Okay.
So we'll start a discussion on the budget. The word budget always denotes something to utilize our available resources for the achievement of some objective. And this budget is not only used for the economy purpose only. This budget is also used at our level, even our parents level, even our household level, everywhere we used to use this word budget. Like our parents used to allocate the funds in such a way so that you can carry on your studies, you can get good food, you can have good house. That is budget at the household level. In your level also, you are budgeting something. Like when the exam come, you are budgeting your time. The time is your resource. You are budgeting the time to give more time to the important chapters and crack the exam. In the same way, at national level, we have got union budget. And the present president of USA, Joe Biden, once told that budget is the reflection of the vision of the government. Meaning thereby, if a government is pronouncing in a budget, the area in which it is going to invest more, that means that government is giving more priority to that area. So we have got this budget where we have lots of resources and how we are utilizing that resources. And if you are tracking this budget, you must be knowing that always our budget is having a deficit budget. Deficit budget, what it is? Deficit budget is our expenditure, budgeted expenditure is more than our resources. Is it good for an economy? If I'll ask it, then yes, it is good for an economy, because for a growing economy or developing economy, always it is good to have a mild deficit budget, because a growing economy or developing economy has to spend more on the multiplier. Multiplier means the capital expenditure that we are making, because the capital expenditure will boost up the infrastructure of a country, which will ultimately multiply the growth of the company, multiply the GDP of the company, country. So let us start our discussion with a brief of this budget discussion. Our country is having a budget like this. Our total receipts is around, in the financial year 2021, is around 35,09,836, which we are meeting through various sources like revenue receipts and capital receipts. This revenue receipt and capital receipt, you must be knowing, you must be studied in your accounts, but briefly I want to explain that revenue receipts are the recurring receipts we are getting or the country is getting. For that, it don't have to repay anything. But the capital receipts are occasional receipt, like you might be heard about a disinvestment of Air India. The disinvestment is resulting in certain inflow to the government that can be called as a capital receipt. So from that, government is also collecting some revenue, and all this revenue together, may it be capital or revenue, all this receipt taken together is available with the government for spending. How the government is spending? Government have many expenses to incur, like revenue expenses. Revenue expenses means government has to pay salary to its employees, pay pension to their employees, and do all the recurring activities to run the country. Apart from that, it has to repay the loan on which they have to also pay interest. Similarly, on account of deficit, means we are spending so much and our revenue, our resources are not that. So differential we have to borrow, and what we are borrowing, of course, the borrowals are not interest free. We have to pay interest on that. That is also a kind of revenue expenditure. So if we'll put that in a graph, 1 rupee we are earning, 1 rupee we are earning. This is the constituent of 1 rupee we are earning. Around 15 paisa of 1 rupee we are getting from the corporate tax. 15 paisa we are getting from the income tax that is collected from individual and partnership firms and non-corporates. Then from custom duty we are getting around 5 paisa. From excise duties, etc., we are getting 7 paisa. From service GST, goods and services tax, we are getting around 16 paisa. And non-tax revenue like registration fee or toll tax, etc., we are getting around 5 paisa. And non-date receipt like donations from abroad or contribution of IMF or World Bank, like that, all those are coming under non-date capital receipts. But apart from all this, a big chunk is from borrowings and other liabilities for which we have to repay. It's not a very good sign for an economy, but yes, this is the reality. And we are in such a position that without this much of borrowing, we cannot proceed with our development, we cannot proceed with our growth. So this is the 1 rupee source for the financial year 22-23. Then how these resources are spent. This is the analysis of budgeted expenditure, how we are going to spend it. This expenditure are spent through this central sector scheme, interest payment and a defense subsidy, finance commission, others, then state share of taxes and duties, then pension and other expenditure. If we'll see minutely, that major chunk that is around 20% is going towards the payment of interest. Like we have seen in the resources, the major chunk is the borrower. In the same way, the major chunk is also going towards interest. It will take some time, maybe down the line, if the growth will be maintained, maybe down the line 5 years or 10 years, we'll have a lower interest rate or we'll have a lower borrowing. Then we can really achieve a milestone so far as the growth of the country is concerned. Then next important expenditure is towards a state share. Unlike other countries, in India, we have a democratic setup where we have got two different governments, state government and central government. The central government always every year have to fund some amount of its revenue resources towards developmental activities to be undertaken by the states. So that chunk is given as a 17% we are budgeting for 2022-23. This other things we'll not discuss in detail. You can go through the slide. I'll share with you. Then this is the important one, that the fiscal deficit. I told you in the initial introduction that a deficit is good for the economy, but not a bigger deficit. In our country, we are considered as a fastest growing economy of the world. When we are fastest growing economy of the world, we have to maintain this pace of growth. If we want to maintain the pace of the growth, we have to accelerate the expenditure in the infrastructure, because this infrastructure will be able to help us in replicating the growth. Therefore, we have always budgeted our resources like we'll have a minimal deficit. And last year in the financial year 2021, we have experienced a big setback because of the hit of the COVID-19. Therefore, our fiscal deficit has gone beyond the budgeted one, and it has hit a 9.2%. But down the line, we are budgeted and we are estimating by 22-23 will achieve a deficit of 6.4%. Then we'll come to the major indicator of our economy, that is GDP. When we are budgeting, the certain key indicators are taken into consideration. One of the biggest indicator is GDP, the gross domestic product. In your economy subject, you have studied that gross domestic product is the total amount of goods and services produced in a country during a specific period. Here it is the financial year. This is the trend I have given you. And if you will see that this is the growth rate, it's not the total GDP, it is the growth rate of GDP. So if you can see, then in the year 2019, 20 and 2021, in the year 1920, because of the hit of the COVID, it has reduced in the year 1920. The graph is a bit stressed, so 2021 is not visible at the right place. So in the 2021, we have our economy has contracted to some extent, then it has taken a pace. And if you will check the sector-wise GDP contribution, our agricultural sector has seen a growth of 4.3% in the year 1920, and consistently it has shown a growth of 3.6 in 2021 and 21-22 around 3.9%. As compared to that, our industrial sector like mining, quarrying has contracted in the financial year 1920. Then again it has contracted in 2021. Then it has taken a sharp growth of 14.3%. But we should not be taken away by the figures only, because if you will go check the figures, then you may be imagining that what is happening in 21-22, that the mining and quarrying sector is seeing a growth of 14%, but the agriculture is having a growth of only 3.9%. It's not that. Actually, it's purely a number game. We are here capturing the growth. When something is 100 rupees and it has contracted by 5%, it has become 95. In the next year, if it is reaching a level of 105, then it is achieving a growth of more than 10%, because from 95 it has grown up to 105. But if we'll see the agriculture sector, it has taken a consistent growth. So from 100 it has become 104.3, then 3.6 growth adding to it, so it will become around 107. So in real term, this agriculture sector is growing every time. And agriculture sector is one of the biggest contributor to our GDP, unlike other sector. So these are the highlights of the different sectors that we are estimating to give result in this financial year 22-23. Then this is just a replica of the total expenditure that we are going to have in 2023. If you look at it minutely, you can see the major chunk is going towards interest, and thereafter we'll see that defense is taking a major chunk. Apart from that, we have other expenses like transport sector, transfer to states, subsidy, pension, rural development, energy, education, tax administration, agriculture and allied activities. All those things are there. But the major contributor to these expenses are interest and the defense expenses. Next, when we are budgeting, we have to first allocate the resources, and the resources are basically coming through the taxes. If you see the year-on-year graph, then we can see that this major resources taxes are having a growth trend. It has never seen a downward trend or contraction. So GDP may be reducing, GDP may be contracting, but taxes are not contracting. Always government is taking a higher tax than the earlier year. May it be because of inflation, but yes, government is always taking a higher chunk of revenue. In this context, I want to say a quote of the famous economist of India, Mr. Chanakya. Kautilya, we know him as Kautilya. Once he told that collection of taxes is essential for a country. The ruler has to collect tax, but the tax should be collected like a honeybee. How come? A honeybee collects honey from the flower without hampering the beauty of the flower. In the same way, the ruler should collect tax from the countrymen. But here, if you look the graph, may it be COVID or may whatever may be the situation, the taxes are always collected and it is having an upward trend. And in the last 2 months, you might be hearing from the news that consecutively for 2 months, we are recording a highest GST collections. If we are recording highest GDP collection, GST collections, then to some extent that can be spent towards reducing the inflation, because the biggest problem in our country is increasing inflation. One famous quote for Indian context is, India is a poor country with having a handful of richest person. The income is distributed in a very discriminatory manner. The difference of income, the disparity of income is huge. Some people are earning in crores and some people are not even getting money to fill their stomach for 2 times. And the tax which is contributed, yes, for direct tax, yes, only 1% people or 2% people are contributing. But so far as the indirect tax is concerned, all of us, even a poor people, when he is purchasing a dress or when he is purchasing a toothbrush, he is contributing. He is contributing to the country in the form of indirect tax. So in that realm, government has to think, if the government is not able to generate employment, if the government is not able to raise the standard of living of the people, at least it should not worsen it up. Then these taxes, major sources of these taxes are direct taxes and indirect taxes. And most of the people are waiting for the budget because of the amendments going to take place in this two parts, direct taxes and indirect taxes, because our income is static, or income we can predict, but how much of it is our disposable income. Means I'm getting a salary of 10 lakh, but if the government is taking a tax of 10%, then I will be left with 9 lakh salary. So most of the people are eagerly waiting for budget to know, is there any amendment is going to take place in the taxes structure? Fortunately or unfortunately, whatever you can say, but this year we don't have any changes in the direct tax rates. Other direct tax amendments are there, other benefits are there, other amendments like digital assets amendment was there. I will take you through that briefly, but there is no such amendment in the income tax rate of individual this year. One major step which have been taken this year so far as the direct tax is concerned, that what was happening in the last 2 years since COVID have come into picture, many people have suffered, many people died, and their employer, some of the employees who have suffered COVID-19, their employer have spent a lot of money for the treatment of the employees, and for some of the deceased person, the employer have donated some money to their families. Even some unknown person, they have donated some money to the families. Now, so far as the direct tax is concerned, there was no such provision related to this. If someone is giving something as a gift, may it be for condolence gift or may it be as a treatment donation, whatever income is there, you have to offer that income to tax. There was no such provision before this budget to make it exempt. All those monies were taxable, but we got a welcome amendment that all that money we have received or the employee has received from the employer for the treatment of COVID or as a compensation for COVID, all those are exempt from the assessment year 2021. This is a welcome move, and even they have made amendment of other sections relating to income from other sources, section 56(2) of the Income Tax Act, that even a non-employer, an outsider, if he's contributing something for the betterment of the family or rewarding something, some benefit to the family of the deceased one, then that will also be treated as an exempt income. There have been other changes relating to direct tax, and most important one was the taxation of virtual digital asset. The Honorable Finance Minister, Mrs. Nirmala Sitharamanji, has categorically used this word virtual digital asset, which is mostly known as a Bitcoin or cryptocurrency. So he has named this, and section 247 have been amended of Income Tax Act to include the definition of this virtual digital asset, to include all those cryptocurrency or other such kind of virtual digital asset. To understand this income tax treatment of this, we just have to understand the implication of this digital coins or cryptocurrencies. Since last few months, we have seen many advertisements come in the TV that purchase, invest in Bitcoin, invest in cryptocurrency. all those, and some people even they are very excited about investing in cryptocurrency. Some have earned even, but there is no such law regulating this market of cryptocurrency. In some of the developed countries like US, France, United Kingdom, this cryptocurrencies are treated as illegal currency, illegal item.
Sir, if you could be a little, we would be running out of time.
Okay, sorry. I will try to complete it within 5 minutes. So, the amendment has come like the virtual, if you are gaining something from the sell of this for virtual digital asset, then that will be taxed at 30%, and no such deductions allowed. Whatever you will gain straight away, 30% you have to pay as tax. But the peculiar thing is that after announcement of this, after the budget session, when the finance minister came to the press conference, she told that yes, we have taxed it, but we have never told it as a legal one. It is still not legal. It's like if you are taking supari to kill someone, pay the tax. Under income tax, you will not get penalized, but criminal proceeding may be initiated. It's just like that. So this is the major changes in indirect tax. And so far as the indirect tax is concerned, some critical amendments have been taken, which you will not be able to appreciate because these are very minute level changes of GST that may be taken when you will have a dedicated GST session. So this much I'll discuss, and other economic highlights which have been addressed in this budget may be taken up by my other co-speakers. Because of paucity of times, we may conclude at this point, but of course, we'll take up the question answer after the end of the session. Thank you, sir.
If you have anything important and you can share, I mean, in the next 5 minutes, close it, or it's fine.
Anyway, at the time of discussing,
fine, sir. So
at the time of question answer session, we'll discuss.
Yeah, okay, fine. So it was a wonderful session by Satyanand Routray, sir, and in fact, I think very interesting was about how the budget for this country is prepared and what are the different components and compositions. I think it should be a very useful insight for all the students of management in other places. And next we have with us is Shri Dhananjay Bhatia ji. Sir, it's now over to you to share your views on this union budget and how you think it's going to impact the economy, the industry, and personal level also. Over to you now.
Thank you so much, sir, for this warm introduction. And it's always an honor and a privilege to share my insight on this important topic. I've been doing it for last 3 years. So I believe that is the kind of connect I built it with Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan. Just before we get started with the session, I just want to start with a small question to the students who are listening to me. How many of you believe in ghost? आप में से कितने जन भूत पे भरोसा करते हैं? मतलब आपको लगता है कि भूत होते हैं, ghost and all that. If you believe, please type in yes in the chat box. I'll request all the participants, let us make super interactive because it's already 4:30. I can't say that it's a post-lunch session. So post-lunch session is really difficult, but at 4:15, I believe you all have woken up. So how many of you believe in ghost? If you believe in ghost, you can type yes. If you don't believe, please type in no. We have 45 participants. Can we have 45 yes or no? There are few people who are saying yes. There are few people who are saying no. Actually, ghost किसे कहते हैं पता है? Generally वो होते हैं लेकिन दिखाई नहीं देते हैं, right? जो होते हैं लेकिन दिखाई नहीं देते उसे हम ghost कहते हैं. And I'm sure that I'm interacting with the future leader of the country. So can we have all the cameras on? That is the request. It is from my end. If we can have camera on from all the participants, so that I can see your facial expression and that can help me whether you are able to relate with the topic or not. So I will request, if you are in some sitting position where it takes time for you, you take 30 seconds. But this is my humble request to all the participants who are present out there. if you can just turn on your cameras, because it would have been a physical session, then I would have definitely had lots of interaction and body movement kind of thing. But because of some restriction of this COVID factor, I'll request all the students who are present out there, if we can have their cameras on, and we will just wait for 1 minute before we take the session forward. क्योंकि आप लोग सामने नहीं आएंगे ना, I will not be able to understand whether I'm able to relate with the topic or not. That is the ultimate thing that we are chasing. क्योंकि every session that we do for any institute, or if the institute is doing for you, it has some purpose. ये जो 1-1.5 घंटे का interaction है, there has to be some value addition. I truly believe that if you are spending time on any platform, it has to add value. And as a student, I will request everyone, we have only few cameras on. So students, please come up. You can just turn on your cameras and let's have the interaction. Just a second, I will just share my screen before we move forward. Okay, I believe my screen is visible to all the participants. So I will start the session with a small question. I believe it will be very useful for us to understand the budget. The question to all the participants out there is, how many states do we have in India? Bharat में कितने राज्य हैं? Please type in your answer in the chat box, and you have 30-second time. How many states do we have in India? Please type in your response in the chat box. Faster, make it 30. You have just 30 seconds. Jagdish says 29. Okay, wonderful. Please be very fast. Amit says 29. Okay. Akansha, Ramkrishna, Lopamudra 29. Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for your wonderful response. Right. And to be very honest, if I give you 30 seconds more time to find out from Google the number of states we have in this country, I'm sure that you will get the right answer. So again, I'm giving you 30-second time. Just check out from Google the number of states we have in this country. You have 30-second time. Everyone, Biswanath, Nikhilesh, everyone, just take 30 seconds. Just find out from Google the number of states we have in India. And after that, you can type in your answer. Okay, Nikhilesh says 28, Ranjan says, okay. See, in a matter of 1 minute, we have changed the number of states, right? It was 29 and we made it 28. The reason why I am making this statement is, we are talking about a country where, first of all, we as a participant, I'm not saying it is with you, it is with everyone. Wherever I've gone and I've interacted with the student community, I have seen that most of the people are technically not sure about the number of states we have. And if I ask people, again, this I want you to be honest with your response, क्योंकि हम ईमानदारी से बात करेंगे तो सीखेंगे. और मुझे लगता है कि आप जिस प्लेटफॉर्म पे आए हो, this is a platform of learning, this is a platform of growth, this is a platform of getting more clarity about things. My second question is, if I give you this blank India map, can you plot all the states? If you can do it, please type in yes. If you can't do it, please type in no. That is the second question for the day. If you think that if I give you this blank India map and I ask you to plot the number, all the states by giving you a blank India map, can you do it? If you can do it, please type in yes. If you can't do it, please type in no. Rasmita says no, Jagdish says no, Sukracharya says no. Okay, right? And the last question is, if I ask you the name of the 7 Northeast states with their capital, how many of you will be in a position to answer that? If I ask what is the capital of Nagaland, what is the capital of Arunachal Pradesh? So we are talking about preparing a budget for a country where people are technically not aware of the number of states. People won't be able to plot the states when you give up them a blank map. People won't be able to name the name of the 7 Northeast states with the capital. Just to prepare and just to design and just to present the budget of a country like India, it itself is a very tough ask. First of all, I'm thankful to the Prime Minister and the Finance Minister for coming out with a budget. First of all, the first thing is that they have come with a budget. That is the first thing that you have to look at. Irrespective of who is the Prime Minister of the country, the person who can create a budget for a country like India. I believe India is not a country, India is a continent. How many of you believe that India is not a country, India is a continent? You can have 42 countries. There are different countries in the world. 42 countries, when you club together, That is where you make India out of it. इस कंट्री की हम बजट की बात कर रहे हैं. Just think about Viswa. Just think about this. We are talking about a country. Rasmita, just think about this. We are talking about Amit. Just think about it. We are talking about a country. इस country की हम बजट बना रहे हैं. Do you think it is an easy task? If you think it is easy task, please type in E. And if you think it is difficult, please type in D. If you think preparing the budget for a country like India, it is easy, please type in E. And if you think it is difficult, please type in D. And everyone is saying that it is D. It is difficult. It is indeed difficult, right? So first of all, preparing a budget for a country like India is tough. Let us try to find out what in store for us as a B school student. ये budget मेरे लिए क्या है? What is something that I can get from this budget? Mr. Satyanand Routray, he has wonderfully deliberated the important aspect. I'm not going to again repeat the same. I believe that will be a duplicacy. I'm trying to give you an insight about what is your takeaway as a student. Is budget से आपकी क्या आकांक्षा है? What is the expectation that you build up, and how you can decode and how this budget can help you grow and help the country grow? Because it is not the duty of the nation to take you forward. Just mark my word, it is not the duty of the nation to take you forward. It is your duty to take the nation forward. How many of you agree with this statement? It is not the duty of the nation to take you forward. It is your duty to take the nation forward. If you agree, please type in A. If you don't agree, please type in D. Jagdish says A, Amit says A. I want answers from all the participants, because I don't want you to be spectator. Agar the university, the institute has taken this initiative of helping you out with the budget. So let's try to be more interactive, and let's try to learn and decode the subject with more clarity, right? So Viswanath Panda says yes. Akansha Gupta says yes. Okay, great. Before the budget started, before we had this budget on 1st of Feb, on 31st of December, I got a call from a TV anchor. I was invited for a TV show on budget. Then the anchor asked me a question, sir, what is your expectation from the budget? होता है ना कि हर आदमी को बजट के पहले एक्सपेक्टेशन होता है. टीवी पे 6 घंटे का डिबेट होता है, 10 घंटे का डिबेट होता है. हम सब ज्ञानी बन जाते हैं सुन के कि क्या होने वाला है. What do you expect from the finance minister? Then when the anchor had asked me this question, what is your expectation from the budget? I made a very small point that before I leave from my house, जब भी मैं अपने घर से बाहर निकलता हूँ, my wife will always ask me, what shall I make for dinner? रात को खाने पे क्या बनाना है? मैं उसे कहता हूँ कि तू राजमा चावल बना लेना. जब मैं रात को घर पहुंचता हूँ ना, तो वो वही बनाती है जो उसको बनाना होता है. तो मैं बोलूँ या नहीं बोलूँ, इससे फर्क नहीं पड़ता है. That is the reason why I don't have any expectation from budget. I believe that when the budget is out, we have all the data points, because there are so many factors that has to be focused at. That is not a single focus that we are focusing. There are multiple factors that we are focusing on. And you have, if you talk about a country like India, wherein you have to take care of the people need, you have to understand it's a developing economy. There are people who have different expectations from different part of the country, different section of the society. हर आदमी की जरूरत को मीट करना टेक्निकली पॉसिबल नहीं होता है. बोलते हैं ना कि if you want to make everyone happy, don't prepare a budget, sell ice cream. If you want to make everyone happy, don't prepare a budget rather than sell ice cream. अगर आप आइसक्रीम बेचोगे तो हर आदमी को आप खुश कर सकते हो, लेकिन बजट से आप खुश नहीं कर सकते हो. So because every section will have a different need altogether. So as a student, what is important? I'll just give you a context so that you can understand where India is placed right now. Right now, we all know that India is an emerging economy. When I say it is an emerging economy, just think about a student. India is a student. The government is a guardian of the country. That is what the assumption will have. So if somebody who is in graduation final year, जो बंदा graduation final year में है या फिर जिसका graduation just complete होने वाला है, what is the next thing he should do for a better career opportunity? You please type in your answer in the chat box. if somebody who is in graduation final year, what shall he or she do so that she or he can get a better opportunity in future? Please type in your answer. आपको क्या लगता है कोई ग्रेजुएशन फाइनल ईयर में है तो वो क्या करे so that he can get a better opportunity in future? I believe that you will suggest that he should go for a master degree, yes or no? He or she should go for a post graduation or master degree, yes or no? If the answer is yes, please type in yes in the chat box. Pooja Patra says yes. Ami says yes. Ratmita Rana says yes. Jagdish Reddy says yes. Ranjan Kumar Naik says yes. Nikhil says yes. Okay. So, for example, if somebody wants to do a post graduation and assume that the fees is 4 lakh rupee and the parent don't have that money, the parent don't have that particular amount of money, what they can do is they can take a loan. If the parents don't have that money, what they can do is they can take a loan, right? When the parent takes a loan, education loan for the kid, the purpose of taking is they believe that once he or she is done with the master degree or post graduation, after that they will land up in a good job, or they will start their own business, or they will go for entrepreneurship, and that is where they will be a breadwinner, they will be contributing to the income of the family, and that particular income will be used for what? That particular income will be used for paying off the loan and ensuring that there is a better future that is created. Yes or no? This is what is technically happening when you talk about a particular student who is trying to upskill, upgrade himself. The same way, in a country which is emerging, there is something called as fiscal deficit. Fiscal deficit का मतलब ये की होता है the income of the government, the expenses of the government. If the income is 100 rupees, the government has spent 106 rupees. The income is 100 rupees and the government has spent say 106 rupees. So this 6 rupees extra, how can the government spend? They can spend by borrowing. Just like, for example, if my father has 100 rupees and the school fees is 120 rupees, how can my father pay 120 rupees by taking a loan of 20 rupees, right? This is what will be actually a fiscal deficit for my father. The reason my father took a loan of 20 rupees so that to ensure that after you are done with your graduation, after a particular phase, after a particular point of time, when we government has spent on the infrastructure, government has spent on the development of the country, more people come to the country, more investment happens, that will end up in collecting more taxes, more revenue, and after a certain point of time, the government will be in a position to pay back all the liabilities. This is how the entire setup works. So you have to understand that there always will be a debate with respect to fiscal deficit. Government के खर्चे को लेके कि खर्चे ज़्यादा हो रहे हैं as compared to income. The most important thing is where the government is spending. That is very important. खर्चे क्या चीज के लिए कर रहे हैं? अगर कोई एजुकेशन लोन के लिए खर्चा कर रहा है और कोई एजुकेशन लोन लेके मतलब एजुकेशन लोन के हिसाब से उसके खर्चे हुए हैं, और दूसरा है घूमने के लिए कोई वेकेशन के लिए लोन लिया है, इस दोनों में से कौन सा लोन सेंसिबल है? Again, I repeat, there are two situations. One is you can take loan for education, and second is you take loan for vacation. Which is the preferred loan, whether it is for education or vacation? Please type in your answer in the chat box. You should take a loan for education or vacation. Answer is education, right? The same way, when the expenses of government is more than the income, we have to find out where the money is spent. ये पैसा खर्च कहाँ हो रहा है? Whether it is in productive area or whether it is in non-productive area or unproductive area. So generally what happens is when the government spends, there is something called as capex, capital expenditure. This is what the country needs. When we talk about capital expenditure, that particular amount that the government spends is used for developing the infrastructure of the country. Better roadways, better railways, better ports, better bridges. So this will help the business to expand. This will increase the speed of transportation. This will definitely reduce the cost of goods. That will allow free movement of goods from one part of the country to the other part. So a country where the emphasis is moving from subsidy to more of spending on capex, that the capital expenditure, that is where you see a fantastic future ahead. And this is what the projection or the vision of the government is. government is focusing on Amrit Kal. That's the vision for at India at 100, right? Right now, we just had the 75th celebration last year. Right now, the focus is the government wants India to be a hub of manufacturing. Manufacturing one area which government truly believes will be a game changer, because manufacturing is one segment that has the potential of employing lots of people. That is one thing, that's the challenge of employment. And second is that will definitely help to improve the status of living, standard of living. Right now, we know that major population, major part of the people in this country, they are employed in education, agriculture sector, right? Agriculture sector at this point of time, even though the number of people who are employed is very high, but the contribution to the GDP is not much as compared to the service sector. The service sector is doing their job fantastically well, but manufacturing is one area where it requires serious working, and that is where the government believe that if they really want to ensure that the focus has to be on manufacturing, then there has to be a capex. So this is the logic: give a man a fish, you feed him for a day, teach a man to fish, and you feed him for the lifetime. अगर आप किसी को कहते हो ना कि बिस्वा एक काम करिए, आप एक मछली ले लीजिए, आप एक दिन के लिए आपका पेट भर जाएगा. लेकिन अगर मैं आपको फिशिंग सिखा दूं, if I teach you fishing, you will survive throughout your life, and this is what they are focusing on. If I give you subsidy, it is I pay and it's done. But if I help you with other things, I will give you better standard of life, I give you better job opportunity, I give you better infrastructure, you are capable enough so that you don't ask, you create your own wealth. This is what is the beauty of capex, right? Next is with respect to digital currency. This has been a buzz topic. Mr. Satyanand Routray already has shared a certain insight about this. But when you talk about the digital currency that will be issued by CBDC, that is central bank digital currency, this is just like a normal currency that we use for our regular transaction. The technology that will be used will be blockchain. That is what they are just trying to work out, how feasible it is. Crypto is more into a transaction. It is more into a trading kind of what you say. It's more of a trading currency. But the currency that the government will be coming up with will be transaction currency. So there's a difference between trading currency and transaction currency. When you talk about bitcoins and all that, they are trading currency. People buy, sell, there's a huge fluctuation. What is digital currency that the government is intending to come? I'll give you an example. We know that the Reserve Bank of India will come up with the money supply in the economy, right? The RBI comes with the money supply in the economy. So suppose market में ना government को 1000 crore डालने हैं. Suppose the government wants to put in 1000 crores into the market, right? So earlier what used to happen was they used to print the money, and that used to be circulated, right? That was the process. Right now we know that we are living in a digital world. Amit वड़ा पाव खाता है, पेमेंट पेटीएम से करता है. बिस्वा अमेज़न से ऑनलाइन डेबिट कार्ड से बाय करता है. कैश की यूजेज कम हो रही है आस्ते आस्ते, राइट? तो गवर्नमेंट सेज इफ एवरीथिंग इज डिजिटल, why to spend more money, why to spend what you say on printing the same? Why don't we come up with digital money so that we digitally infuse the money in the system? And because of the fact that it's a digital money, so it has to be a very robust kind of system. Otherwise, if there's a leakage, if there's a hacking happens, then it can multiply like anything. So that is the reason why the government also believes that right now, because of the cyber crime and the cyber frauds and all that, so they don't want to be aggressive in this approach. They're just trying to find out what the alternate, but the future is digital. There will be a point of time wherein people will hardly carry a paper note, and this is something which we have not imagined before 5 years. अगर आप 5 साल पहले बोलो कि पेपर नोट की ज्यादा जरूरत नहीं पड़ेगी, people used to question mark. Right now, I was there in Konark today. I just came back. I saw that there was a small stall that was on the way from Konark to Bhubaneswar. He had that Paytm and a phone pay kind of thing. कि सर आप Paytm कर दो. So this is how the reach is happening, and this is very fast. देश बदल रहा है, आप बदल रहे हैं कि नहीं बदल रहे, important है. People are talking about employment. I believe that you go to any part of the country, if you have the intent, अगर आपके पास नियत है और skill है, नौकरी available है. Problem is people don't have the intent, people don't have the skill, and they want a job. And if you are the one who don't have an intent and you don't have the skill and you are still wanting a job, तो दिक्कत आपके साथ है, किसी और के साथ नहीं है। नेताजी सुभाष चंद्र बोस कहे गए हैं कि तुम मुझे खून दो, मैं तुम्हें आजादी दूंगा। कॉर्पोरेट कहता है तुम मुझे स्किल दो, मैं तुम्हें जॉब दूंगा। दिस इज द स्लोगन ऑफ कॉर्पोरेट। स्किल दो ना, you come to the industry, what is the skill you have, what is the kind of value addition that you can do। आप वैल्यू क्या ऐड करोगे वो बताओ ना। just because you have done an MBA, it doesn't mean that the industry will take you like anything। वो बोलते हैं और क्या किया है, what is something extra, what is something extra, how dynamic you are, what is your communication skill, how do you carry yourself, what is your personality, what is your physical health, how are you presenting yourself। बहुत सारी चीजें। it is not only about the degree that you carry, it is all about sarva guna sampann। that is what the corporate is looking at। and if you think that just because you have a great analytical skill people will buy, answer is no। you can be gold from inside but you should look like showroom from outside। just mark my statement and remember this throughout your life। if you are gold from inside you should look like showroom from outside। अगर आप सोने को ठेला गाड़ी में बेचोगे ना तो लोग डाउट करेंगे ये सोना है कि पीतल है, ये और नो। हमारे साथ दिक्कत क्या है कि मैं अच्छा घर से हूँ, मैं संस्कारी हूँ, मैं ऐसा हूँ। भाई वो तो अंदर में है, बाहर में कैसे पता चलेगा। योर ड्रेसिंग, योर प्रेजेंटेशन, योर कम्युनिकेशन, योर अप्रोच, दैट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, राइट। So the problem right now people is there's a mindset problem, employment नहीं है, ये नहीं है, वो नहीं है। Yes, that's a challenge। I'm not saying that's not a challenge। What I'm saying is the bigger challenge is the intent। People are spending the entire time doing nothing। They have all become gaming geeks। 80% of the youth they are spending their times on mobile phones। वो गेम खेल रहे हैं, वो संतरा और केले वाले गेम खेल रहे हैं, क्या बोलते हैं उसको, कैंडी क्रश। और कोई पबजी खेल रहा है, कोई ये खेल रहा है, कोई इंडियन आर्मी के सोल्जर बन जा रहे हैं मोबाइल के अंदर। दिस इज द काइंड ऑफ एटीट्यूड दे हैव एंड दे आर सेइंग दिस द कंट्री डजंट प्रोवाइड अपॉर्चुनिटी। हाउ मेनी ऑफ बिलीव दैट इफ यू हैव स्किल you can get opportunity in this country? if you believe yes, please type in yes in the chat box। अगर आप में स्किल है तो क्या अपॉर्चुनिटी अवेलेबल है कि नहीं। आई वांट टू आस्क योर ओपिनियन। आई एम नॉट सेइंग कि मैं कह रहा हूं। Nikhil says yes। let me just let me take your feedback। how many of you agree that बंदे के पास स्किल है तो काम तो है। अमित is saying yes। पूजा, everyone is saying yes कि सर काम की प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, पंगा है माइंडसेट की, पंगा है माहौल की, and we are driven by that thought process, right। last two slides before we just get into the question answers। national tele mental health program, and this is an area of concern, this is which the government has thought right now last 2 years।
Sir, can I interrupt Dhananjay sir? If
yeah, please
in next 5 minutes and then we will continue।
yeah just 2 slides sir, we'll just cover it up। yeah, so we have the national tele mental health program where the government believed that last 2 years because of this COVID most of the activity was within the boundary of 4 walls। so right now there are people who have lost their jobs। there can be multiple reasons। one is because of the organization getting shut down or maybe their skill is not matching as per the industry need। there can be multiple reasons। so mental health is a serious area, the government has accepted it। so this is again a great way of because you have seen that movie Dream Girl, right? I'm sure that you have seen that movie Dream Girl of Ayushmann Khurrana। if you have seen that particular movie was a silent message for the mental challenge that people are facing। they don't have somebody whom they can talk, they can share their what their internal feelings। so they need a professional counselor। that is a very good step। I believe this is what we can look at। one class one education, I'm sure that you might have seen the idea ad before 5-7 years। there was an ad of idea wherein student in a village they were studying by use of a mobile phone। you have seen that Abhishek Bachchan ad। I'm sure that before 5-7 years you might, or 8 years, you have seen that idea ad। and thanks to COVID, this is one contribution of COVID that people have accepted that कि online भी पढ़ाई हो सकती है। I'm not saying it can replace the physical mode, but if people are not able to travel places, the education can go to their place। so the government has come up with one class one education till 12th standard। that is where we believe in having a equal playing ground till graduation, till +2, that is 12th standard। there will be TV channels that will be imparting the education because गांव में टीचर तो स्कूल तो है लेकिन टीचर अच्छे नहीं है। if you go to the interior of the country you will find the schools, school is not a problem, but the teacher quality is pathetic. That is where the challenge the student is facing. The teacher don't know how to actually teach the students. So that is the reason why a common TV channel can definitely help. So this is a wonderful step. I believe that is again that's a foundation for our great future. So this is what I wanted to share with you all. The budget, if you ask me my personal view, it's a growth oriented budget. It's a budget that focuses on future of India. Even though we had election year around, we are having election in UP and Punjab. That will definitely have an impact on the union or the central election. But the government has played their part beautifully. They believe that yes, the country is a prime what you say focus area for us. Growth is something that has to be driving our agenda, and the kind of increase they have done with respect to the capex. Right now it is 7.5 lakh crore, a hike of 35% in capex. The number speaks for itself. So the opportunity is huge. As a student, this is the best time to be a part of the Indian economy. अपने ऊपर काम कीजिए, मेहनत कीजिए. You have a fantastic future ahead. Thank you so much for your patience listening. Thank you.
Thank you, Dhananjay sir, for your insights into the budget and making it examples of what fiscal deficit is and how fiscal deficit is good and in which way it's actually good. I mean, in terms of, you explained in terms of loans, etc. And yes, meeting expectations of all the stakeholders in this budget, given the diversity of India with the number of states, each having its own pain points and expectations, it would be really difficult for any government to meet the expectations. That was the key highlight of your budget. Now, moving forward, we have with us Dr. Alaka Panda. And I would now request ma'am to please share her views on this current budget and how things look from your viewpoint.
Warm introduction, Professor Sena. Am I audible?
Yeah, you are very much audible, ma'am. You can continue.
Everyone, I'll not take much time as everything has been well spoke by Shri Satyanand Routray and Shri Dhananjay Banthia. They have speak a lot about the budget 2022. I'll just focus on two things. That is, I'll give some highlights about the budget 2022, and I'll just give some hits and misses that has been done in this budget. First of all, I'll give you the highlights that has been included, a big highlights, or we can say a big thrust that has been given. That is the infrastructure investment. A Gati Shakti Health project has been introduced with the national highways, which will be expanded, and the 25,000 kilometer will be increased, and the outlay for this project has been given for rupees 20,000 crore. And a river interlinking has to be done also, as the inland waterways are very good ways for the people to communicate. The second thrust that has been given more, please move to the slide, Professor Sinha.
Sorry, just a minute, yeah.
Yeah.
Just a minute, let me put on to another slide. Is it visible now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Very much visible. Yeah. Then I'll just give a fundamentals of the thrust that has been the important things that has been discussed in the budget. The second will be coming with the national telemedicine program, which sir have already spoken about. All this will be launched, and many people will be suffered due to bad mental health during this pandemic. And if the government is recognizing them, then it's very good. Then talking about the digital infrastructure, where more focus has been given, there was a big theme in the budget. And in fact, we noticed that for the first time, the finance minister read the whole budget on a digital tab only. So the under digital infra, be it banking, payments, fintech, innovation related, be it a matter of increasing the digital infrastructure in the rural areas, a lot of thrust has been given, not only in this year, but in the upcoming year also. And so the auction of 5G spectrum is also to be held in this year. And secondly, e-passports will be introduced. That is, the electronic chip will be there. And 5 centers for excellence for the urban planning of the cities will be made. Only the existing educational institution will be made the centers of excellence. Each institution will be getting rupees 250 crore as an endowment fund. Along with the digital infrastructure, another big thing which came out in the budget was the sustainability. When we are talking about the sustainability, many policies will be made related to the electrical vehicles and the solar systems. If we talk about the electric vehicles, standard operating procedures are very important because it takes time to change the battery in the electric vehicles. That means if the batteries will not be standardized, we have to wait for very long on a charging station. And the standard size batteries, that's why battery swapping policy was introduced in this budget also. Okay, that means all the manufacturers will make the same type and size of battery so that it can be easily swapped on any charging stations. And the second example of sustainability I can give you, like in the many investments and are going to be there in solar. 280 gigawatt installed capacity is being planned till to 2030. For that outlay decided of rupees 19,500 crore under the PLI scheme for the solar manufacturing units. Here I'll not go into the fiscal deficit because sir has already spoken about that, and we can get a clear picture about the fiscal deficit from the last presentation. So along the infrastructure and capex, there was another highlights in the budget was related to the crypto assets. This has been already spoken. Here I'll just predict that the government may not allow the cryptos as a currency, but they may allow it as an asset. How we can conclude this? RBI is going to launch the digital rupee, which means if government is going to promote the digital currency as a currency, that is, it will be imposed on the cryptocurrencies. Then nowadays many people are trading, so same tax rate will be imposed on that also. So we can assume that the government may recognize crypto as an asset. Okay. And when we are talking about the direct tax, this is the most important topic for the common people. There are no change made in the income tax slabs, but now let's understand what were the important changes other than the tax slab to save income tax. Many people saw their income less, so if anyone does this, the government is trying to provide some favorable mechanism. So if you have any undisclosed income and if you have received any notice from the income tax department, then you can disclose that income and pay the tax accordingly to the new income tax policies. The NPS related changes in the direct tax of the central government employees get up to 40% of the tax rebate. And a small changes is done in the long-term capital gains tax, that is the surcharge on all the assets are reduced to 15% on all. The finance minister gave one more clarity on income tax, clear that this surcharge and says not to be treated as a business expenditure. And talking about the indirect tax, the last one I'll speak, that is the GST collection were highest in January, which was around of rupees 1.4 lakh crore, and concessional rates are given in some sectors on the custom duties, especially the highlights are the electronic manufacturing units. Like mobile phones, headphones, custom duties are reduced to attract them, and the government want to promote the blended fuels. That's why the excise duty will be imposed on the unblended fuels like the normal petrol and diesel from the October 2022. Now we can talk about the hits and misses that has been done in the financial planning. The hits we can talk about that my importance has been given to the infrastructure, digital infrastructure sectors. 5G spectrum has been auction. Online education has been given more important, and the sustainability will be a bigger hit. And the fourth, cryptocurrency will be a bigger hit. Talking about the misses, mostly the common people expect the reduction of tax rate, but the changes in the slab rate, and it wasn't a populist budget. According to me, last, I'll conclude with this. The target of the fiscal deficit can be most likely to miss out as the capital expenditure is planned very high against the revenue receipts. Thank you all for your patience.
Thank you, ma'am. It was crisp to the point, and you really covered the hits and misses of this budget very well. In fact, we have already overshot the time quite substantially, but still we would have one round of questions and answers, and even the audience can type in their questions if there are any on the chat box. We'll put it before the panel. But one of the thrust areas was obviously PM's Gati Shakti mission and building up infrastructure, and there were 7 elements to it in the budget. So if Satyanand Routray sir can just expand on this, or maybe explain more about this, what exactly it is and how it's going to help the economy, and what can be the impact on employment, and what all fields of employment can increase because of this Gati Shakti mission. You are muted, sir. You are muted.
Am I audible now?
Yeah. You are audible.
Yes, that Gati Shakti mission, in that they have emphasized 7 transportation sector, like road, mass communication, waterways, airways, all those 7 categories they have emphasized. And in all those sectors, they have planned something to invest so that the infrastructure can be developed and the transportation can further be easy. In the last few years, we have seen the record per day construction of national highway. In the last 2 years, we have recorded highest per day construction of highway. And in the similar way, in the next year also, we are going a bit ahead, and also we are planning some other mode of communication. Like today also, we have got a news that Surat is going to host the first bullet train station of India. Like that, there are many airports also are under developed stage, and the world-class infrastructure are being constructed. Recently, our Patnaik International Airport has been ranked 7 of Indian airports. And why we are doing this? In order to boost up the mode of transportation, so that the we can easily reach the destination and at a cheaper cost. And there have been some proposal to mix the ethanol to the crude oil so that the sustainability can be achieved. And of course, for the e-vehicles range, since the previous budget, they have announced many proposals. But here, one thing I must say, that these budgets are the proposals. Like, you are making the plan, but what about the implementation? That point I missed when I was deliberating, that just before the day of the budget, we used to have a report called economic survey. Every year before budget, we have an economic survey. That economic survey is the result card of the government. During past year, what has happened, actually how far they have implemented the budget. And in that we have seen that inflation is a major concern of our Indian economy. And this inflation have got 2 factors. One is generic inflation, and the second one is the imported inflation. Imported inflation, some part of it we are very familiar, that all the edible oils price have been hiked by plenty of rupees. The reason being, we are mostly dependent upon the importation of edible oil. Therefore, the economic survey rightly pointed out that, and mentioned that the agricultural sector should more be allotted for the cultivation of this oil seeds, so that our dependency on the importation of oil can be reduced, and this will also add to the correction of the inflation. Similarly, all the parameters that we have discussed that will achieve this much of growth rate or all those things are dependent upon certain assumption. If those assumptions will correctly come into picture, then only all those indicators will be achieved. Otherwise, we cannot.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your insights on this. And yes, it is actually a proposal of what government intends to do, and really it's about execution. And there are a lot of misses at the end of the year, towards the end of the financial year, in what they have planned and what actually happens. Coming to Dhananjay Bhatia, sir, you actually spoke about digital currency and central bank backed digital currency. So in fact, this is not many countries actually in the world have implemented it. There have been research going on for last 10 years or so in many of the Western countries. And I think there are only 7 countries in the world which have actually implemented this digital currency because of the problems it creates, or maybe for whatever reasons it's still in deliberation stage all across. So what do you think are key benefits for introducing this digital currency which is backed by the central government? So how can it help the common man?
Okay. I believe that the buzz about digital currency was around for the last 4 or 5 years, to be very honest. People, when we talk about digital currency, still the word crypto comes to their mind, and Bitcoin is something that they are familiar with.
That's actually not the case. It's
yes, it's a different definition right now what we are discussing. Here the government firmly believes that there are some challenges, because when we talk about fiat currency, we know that right now it's more of a promise. The 100 rupee note that we have in our pocket is a fiat currency. So nothing is backing it, and it's only backed by the government commitment or promise that somebody who is bearing this has the power or have that ability to exchange the same for some goods and stuff. So the government over the last maybe last 2 decades, because of the challenge, there are multiple challenges. One is with respect to the counterfeit or the fake currency. That was a challenge with the paper currency one. So that has really costed a huge in the economy. Second is the economy works on the principle of money multiplier. So for example, if 1,000 rupees come to the system, so there is something called an M1, M2, M3, M4. That is how the money gets multiplied in an economy. This will happen when there is a proper free circulation of money across economy. So if there is a case wherein people are holding the same, the money is not coming to the system, that is where the economy doesn't work at that pace where the government has tried to portray. So once things are digital, I believe that the transparency will increase to a greater cost, a greater extent. Second is we know that digital India is something that is the driving force for this present government, and the past government also had worked on this model. So I believe that it is convenient, it is easy for people to transact. And second, and one of the most important challenge that we come to know when you talk about digital currency is with respect to international payment. Do you ask an entrepreneur why you need a standard currency across world? They will be quoting an example that I wanted to buy something in Taiwan, so I used to go to my banker, and my banker used to charge a hefty commission for transferring the money. So there were lots of what you say vertical that was involved. So I don't want to have so many verticals. Rather, I want something very convenient and very transparent. So I believe that this is again one purpose which is going to solve from this particular initiative that's taken by the government. And coming to the technology that will be used, the government is looking at blockchain as a technology. Reason is again because there are multiple systems that code the entire thing. So it has tested for the last 10-12 years. The technology has been very sound and robust, but still they are not getting aggressive into this. They are saying that we need to get the rechecking done, because if things are issued digitally, so that there will be a check or question of bit of cyber crimes and other stuff. So the government wants to make it very clear before going full out in this. So I believe it will be fantastic for the economy, and we are looking forward to it.
Yeah, very well said. There are challenges as well as benefits, and it's more one of the things what comes to mind is obviously the cost of distributing the money will vanish if we have digital currencies and things like that, and more people would come into the formal banking systems. Thank you. I think unfortunately, due to some prior commitments, Dr. Alaka Panda ma'am has already left, so I will not be able to put any questions to her. And we are already really running around out of time. So there were a couple of questions on cryptocurrency. But as Dhananjay has told, digital currency is not exactly cryptocurrency. Crypto is not backed by anything, so we will not take it here. It's a completely different topic. Right, and thank you. It's been indeed excellent and insightful session on this union budget, and definitely different aspects of it were covered of this union budget, and what were the hits and misses, and what has been the key thrust areas, and what should be the way going forward, everything. I would once again like to thank all our panelists, Shri Dhananjay, Bhatia ji, Shri Satyanand Routray ji, Dr. Alaka Panda ma'am, for your insightful topics on the insightful information on this topic rather. I take this opportunity to thank our chairman, sir, and other members of the management team as well for facilitating this seminar. I thank all the participants over here for having joined this webinar. As management students or otherwise also, it's always important to be hooked on to what's going on inside the country, what is going on in the economy, and budget is very important document for to understand what's happening and what is planning. It will give a lot of whatever I would say a direction, a roadmap as to how India is progressing in which way. Thank you once more, and I look forward to all of you joining our next upcoming webinar. As I earlier said, we do conduct a lot of webinars on diverse topics. So thank you once more, and with this we will close this session. Thank you.